Konnichiwa, and welcome to another podcast of the NC Rowan County Anime Group. My name is Robert Clown. I'm currently the president of the group. Today we're going to do something kind of special. We're going to be showing you all these photographs from Magnus Opus Con from all the different conventions. I wish there was a way to separate, all the conventions of MOC there was, but I went to about 7 of them, 1 through 7, and that would be kind of difficult, so I'm just blending them all together and showing you the best of Magnus Opus Con. Now let me talk about this convention. Magnus Opus Con 1 was the first convention I ever airbrushed out of town in. I was very young, and that was the very first. It was in Macon, Georgia. Now I want to take the time to say thank you to Rowan, because Rowan did a lot for me in a lot of ways. He allowed me later on to do panels at Magnus Opus Con on Doctor Who and British science fiction. I'm a big fan of British science fiction. I enjoy series like Doomwatch, Time Slip, UFO, Space 1999, The Knights of God, and also to Quatermass. So I'm a big British science fiction fan as far as that's concerned. Now, Roland tried to do his best to get guests to come at MOC. He had his problems like every other convention. You try to get a guest, something happens, they back out. You try to put in a fill-in, these things happen. What happened towards the end and why I stopped going to MOC was the convention had degenerated. And so like in Doctor Who, the Doctor regenerates, so this convention degenerated. And the emphasis about what the convention was about started going sour. It became more important to have the party than having the guests there. It was more important to do wild stuff or wild things and be inappropriate than it was to actually learn something. And I feel like that was part of the problem with Magnus Opus Con. Now, when I went to 7, I was watching some of the convention on TV, and a friend of mine was filming it, and this camera pans up to this one room. These kids walk over to the window. They're in their own room. They turn around and they moon the camera. And these people were part of the Atlanta Fantasy Fair group. Now I'm glad that convention went soured as well. It's no longer around. They deserve their fate in my book. But Roland should not be blamed for that, because when you have somebody acting like an idiot, you can't control a large crowd. That's impossible. So I don't blame him for that little incident. What I got upset with Roland about was the cursing in the MOC progress reports. This was a report that was sent out to all the fans to tell about what was coming up with Magnus Opus Con. And I got kind of a little bit like, well, if you're going to do a reporter, you should be a good reporter. My example for good reporting, if you ever hear Paul Harvey, the rest of the story, any old podcast, radio cast of his, or Neil Coleman with Talk of a Nation, those are the type of people who I admire, because they always try to do a professional job. So I wrote Roland a letter complaining about it. I said I'm a self-addressed stamped envelope. At the time, Catwoman was answering the letters, and she writes back, or him, whoever, says, Roland's answer in the special MOC progress report that you will have to buy. I'm not paying for it. Sorry, I didn't. That was ridiculous. I had already sent a self-addressed stuffed envelope. Roland should have sent me a reply back. He never did. So I felt like enough was enough. I'm stopping going to this convention. I stopped supporting it. And a few years down the road, I see a ad in the Comic Book Buyer's Guide. This is like a newspaper, and then it has a guy. He's not very well dressed, and it's advertising for MOC saying, the biggest problem we have is we party too hard. I'm going like, is that what you want to do? Tell people that you party too hard? You're not educating them, not telling them anything brand new, being information? Because that's what the convention should be about selling things or picking up that rare item. Pardon me. So, like I said, I stopped. Now, some people would say I was being very rough with Roland, but I felt like I was doing the right thing at the right time. So that's about it. Now, Roland did make one or two other little mistakes during 1995, he went and picked a fight with Dragon Con. He had the same convention on the same day, weekend as Dragon Con was in 95. And that's ridiculous, because what happened was, that was the North American Science Fiction Convention. That was also Starfleet Region 1 Conference happening at Dragon Con. You're trying to anticipate against that. Good luck, you lost. And so that was another reason why Roland's convention eventually fell apart, and my book. Now, our next event, we will be at the Salisbury Mall on September the 8th from 10 to 5, and then on September the 12th, meet us at the Comic Mon store from 5 to close. We're having a gaming night, which will be happening every Wednesday night. Will be a board game night. And then on October the 20th at Dead Ed's in Salisbury, North Carolina, we will be having a membership drive from 1 to 5. Well, I hope you enjoyed listening to this podcast today, and I hope you enjoyed looking at the pictures. May you have a very good day. Goodbye.